Hello and welcome, this is Overwatch, and in today's episode we are going to be revisiting one of my older projects, this being the Overwatch Tracers Pulse Pistols. Now, I will not be remodeling this, instead I'm going to be printing this out and building it for myself. With that said, I'm going to have a still frame picture of the final project as a preview what it is going to be looking like at the end, and I'm going to be taking you step by step on how to make it. One more thing, I believe it's time to start eBagging, not for money though. This project is currently on my Patron only support, so you will need to be one of my $2 patrons in order to download this specific model, the one I build. So you know what, if you can get this video to 100 likes in less than a month, I will be putting it up for free so you and anyone else can download it. So if you want it, do drop a like and leave a comment while you are at it. So with that said, let's get started. Now obviously after printing it, the first step is going to be cutting it out. Now I'm going to show you the cutting process on this one. I'm not going to be doing it for further pieces. I'm just going to be showing you the final results and then the building process of all the pieces coming together. Now with that said, the first two pieces we are going to cut are going to be the main top body. This is what's going to support the pieces, the cover pieces later on, and the front sides. These two, once cut and glued together, make one solid piece, as you can see right here on the preview. Now, once that piece is done, we are going to be finishing the entirety of the first page. That is going to be the back piece and the muzzle or the barrel for the gun itself. All of these pieces are going to be cut and then glued together in one single part. Now here I'm showing you the two main parts of the barrel, not counting the tip and the ring, and all I'm doing here is showing you the alignment. As you can see, the pieces once built were properly aligned. I'm just going to drop some hot glue here. I use hot glue because unlike normal glue, I can just heat it up. If I make a mistake, I heat it up and it's easier to take apart. Now once I put these two together, you can see here I'm checking the alignment, because this part is where the main body of the weapon is going to sit. The other part is I have to check that the shape is perfectly right, as I don't want this to be crooked. So once these are glued, you are actually going to glue the tip of the barrel and the ring that sits. I believe this is just a decorative ring, but this sits on top of the barrel and in front of the piece we just built, just like this. So now we are going to be gluing these two into one single piece. Now instead of showing you me cutting all of these pieces, instead all I'm going to do is have all the pieces pre-prepared and just going to show you the assembly. Now grabbing the parts we have previously made, we are not actually going to glue these two together. Instead, these are going to use as alignment to glue the secondary main piece of the body, or the core of the gun itself. So all I'm doing here is setting the top piece against the barrel and setting the bottom piece against the bottom part of the barrel to align the two main body pieces. With that done, I'm now going to grab a pencil, and this is just going to be for reference. I'm going to scribble a line at the back here so that I have a reference when gluing this. Now one final checkup, making sure that the parts properly align. We are now going to set a little bit of hot glue on this, just like this, and with that we will be setting the top and bottom parts together, just like this. Now these two are one single piece. Once the glue dries just a little bit so it holds together, there it is. Now I'm going to be removing the barrel, as that is going to be attached later on during the building process. Now, with all the parts cut and done, we are going to start the assembly process. For that, we are going to be grabbing these two pieces. These are the animated pieces and the guns themselves in the game, and what we are going to be doing is making sure that they are facing the same way. And I'm going to be grabbing a pencil here. Now I'm going to be doing this because, well, I'm going to show you later. For now this is just for alignment purposes, but I'm going to be showing you while I'm gluing it. So put only a little bit of glue on the part you just marked, because, let me just put this together. There we go. Making sure that this glue sets just enough so I can handle it. But as you can see right here, the pieces are angled. That's because while building it I made a mistake, so I'm going to have to pry them apart, set some glue inside of the parts themselves, making sure I don't break the glue that's currently there, and I'm going to set this at the proper angle, meaning there's going to be a slight gap off the top right there. Now that is going to be fine, it's not going to be a major problem. Now we are going to be grabbing the final core piece. Now these the three core pieces are not going to be appearing on the gun because they're going to be covered. Now what we are going to be doing here, as you can see, there's this face inside that's going to have to go completely inside the core piece, just like this. Now you have to be sure that that's happening on both sides of the gun and on all around these circular pieces. So and align them properly, as you can see right here. Then you are only going to be dropping a few drops of glue, because you don't want to pull this out, fill the size of glue, and then setting this only to find out that you misaligned it. So I'm just going to be setting a little bit of glue, final adjustments, make sure that it's all in place, and that is going to be this for this part. Just going to set this down to dry while we work on another piece. Now with this piece off to the side to dry for the glue to dry, we are going to be working on the handle. For that we are going to be needing these 4 pieces. Now to start off, we are going to be grabbing the top part of the handle. This is where the trigger is eventually going to glue, and we are going to be setting just a small amount of glue right here on the top. Now set it only there and not at the bottom, because we are going to need to make sure that there is no gap here on the top. So I'm just going to squeeze this together long enough for the glue to set, and I'm going to I'll always make sure that everything is properly aligned, otherwise you are going to regret it at the end. I'm just going to set this for the side, and I'm not for the side, grabbing the third piece, making sure that it can be closed completely around the front grip, the grip of the gun, and I'm only going to be setting glue on this front flap. You will see why later. Now obviously setting this piece in place, making sure that once again everything is aligned, hold it just enough for the glue to set. This glue sets really fast. This is why you weren't gluing everything before, so that the alignment was properly made. Now you can see that I set quite a bit of glue in there. I was hoping that the glue would actually flow down and secure everything in place. Instead it decided to flow up. That wasn't a problem, I just took care of the excess glue. I can touch the glue here because it's such a small amount that it won't actually burn you. But I wouldn't suggest putting glue on the paper and putting your finger on it, as this will burn you. Now we're just going to be setting the final piece. I'm just making sure that the glue that's squeezed up is properly clean. That's why I was putting the tip of the glue gun on the paper. Finding the place for this piece, I actually forgot for a second where it was going. Holding it in place and sending just a substantial amount of glue inside. It doesn't need to be too much, but always not so little that it wouldn't glue. Once again, like always, I'm making sure that everything is aligned, and don't worry about that cap on the end. We are going to be fixing that. Just making sure that the glue that's in there is currently setting, and while that cap is there, Since this is paper, you can actually partially force the pieces to go in the place they should go. Now that's going to leave just a very small distortion on the paper, but it is insignificant at the end. Just going to be finishing up, making sure that all the gaps are set. Once again, it's just a small amount of glue, so it won't actually burn your fingers. And with that, we get a complete grip. I'm just going to be showing you a close-up here. There we go. Now you can see the full form of the grip. Now with the grip done, we are going to be setting that aside, and we are going to be finishing pretty much what is going to be the core of the gun, with all of the decorative pieces are going to attach to. Here, just align the top piece like you did the bottom one. Now this one is slightly easier because it is actually wider than the bottom part is. As you can, I'm going to be showing you that later on. So just put some glue on the back. Don't spray glue all over it, just put it on one spot that you can work with later. Put it close together, and you can see right there, the top part is actually wider than the bottom part. That's actually how it's supposed to be. Now you can see right here, after I glue the back, there's a huge gap in the front, but don't worry about that, that's not actually a problem. The thing is, since this is paper, just a little bit of glue is enough to close most gaps, as you can see right here. Paper is quite flexible, and small gaps can be pushed together without much the model itself deforming at all. Now right here I'm just going to be giving you a preview of what the core is going to be looking like once all the plates are in place. As you can see, both the top and the bottom plate, once they're on, that adds quite a lot more detail to it, and some thickness as well. Now putting that at the bottom right side, I'm going to be gluing one side of the decorative pieces. I'm going to be showing that one later. Just put some glue on the spine on the top. Don't put it anywhere else, just put it on the spine. You will see why once again. And of course, once I'm doing this, the camera decides that it doesn't want to work for me. So it goes completely out of focus, and of course I can't do anything because I need to hold this in place as the glue dries. Now once the camera finally goes into focus again, there we go, I'm just going to be gluing the front flaps thing. I don't know how to call this part, but that piece needs to be put into place is because it was actually distorting outwards, and that was messing the shape of the gun, so just hold it there enough for the glue to set. Now during this build you may think that the glue sets quite fast, but remember this is auto, so the more glue you put in, the slower the speed it is to set. So if you just put a little bit, it sets much faster. Like you saw that, don't touch those flaps are going to be glued later on. Now we are going to be working on the rear sides. These four pieces are what's going to be completing the back. I'm going to put them to the side, and I'm going to be grabbing this spacer piece. This is going to go in between the main core and the back sides. So I'm just holding it there as alignment purposes. Like always, alignment is very important if you want to make this work. And this is the back piece. I'm going to be setting this on top right here, making sure that it aligns with the back. Once again, always alignment. I'm just going to be talking about alignment, but it is actually very important that you do so. Now I'm just going to pull this back, making sure that it's properly glued. The glue, even though it's not set, is enough to hold it in place. And this is why I actually put this panel on before I put this piece, is to make sure that these parts are actually set against each other, because I don't want the back part to stick out of the covers too much. Now that part, as you can see me putting there, is going to be what's going to attach the back side of the grip to the top of the gun. That's actually going to be as much of a support piece as it is a decorative piece. Now finally, I'm just going to set enough glue for this to hold in place. Once again, setting it on the back. making sure that it's in the right place, holding it there just for enough time for the glue to set. And now we are going to be gluing this panel on. Now we can glue the final part of the spine on. As you can see, the rear sides completes the spine of the gun. Once again, hold it enough for the glue to set, and if you can see right here, it's set incredibly fast because I didn't put too much glue on. Now we're just going to be setting a string of glue around the back side, hold it in place, and it sets incredibly fast. Once again, the amount of glue you put in is going to be corresponding to the amount of time you have to hold it, as it needs to lose all that heat that it accumulates inside of the gun. Here I'm just fixing a small part that I did, and as you can see, I didn't put any glue on the center. That's because it's not needed. While you are doing this, something you have to realize: you don't need to put glue everywhere. You just need to put enough to hold the pieces in place. That is it with the bottom part on, as you saw before, and this is done. So I'm going to be setting the other panel off screen so you don't have to watch through that. So with that, I'm going to be doing that now. With that done, we can now move to the next step, which is going to be attaching the grip to the main body. So a small bit of glue is all that is needed to temporarily hold it in place, and like always, I must repeat this always: alignment. Make sure that everything is aligned. You may think that I'm overdoing it, but you are going to see right here one of the problems that misalignment can have, and that is this. You can see it now because I decided to put the bottom part in front of the camera, but as you can see, the top of the grip is severely misaligned, so I have to actually push it into shape with quite a bit of force. And here I'm just making sure that the space in both sides is exactly the same, so just pushing it to the side just enough so it is on the center of the gun. I'm actually going to have to be holding it in place, as this is quite springy and it tries to go back with quite a bit of force. Now this piece will usually go here. I will not be using it. Instead, I'm just going to be attaching this on the top right here, and if I can hold it with one finger, and I'm just going to put it down, it's much easier, and I'm going to be attaching these pieces right here to the side. Now if you can see it right here, there's a little bit of a gap right there. Later on I'm going to be showing you how I fix that instead of just leaving the piece inside. So to start off, just put the glue on the top. Now don't just put glue on every surface that specific piece is going to attach to, as you may need to make adjustments further on. This one specifically, I only need to push it into place, but as you saw on the grip earlier, I needed to push the top part into place with quite a bit of force. If you had glued everything at once, that would have been much harder. Now this piece I forgot to glue. I will be gluing it later on, but just hold the back part enough for the glue to set, and you can see right there the huge gap. Now this piece usually would go in there. I won't be using it because it actually became too big after the type of paper that I use. Now that's not the piece, I just get the right piece. There are two ways to fix that small gap. One of them is going to be as simple as pushing this piece up. I will not be doing that. Instead, I will be doing it another way I'm going to be showing you in a moment. Just glue this piece in place, properly aligned like always. Maybe I should make an annotation on the screen that says make sure that alignment is always right. Maybe I'll do just that. But there it is. The way to fix that gap is just put glue on it. I'm going to be grabbing an X-Acto blade, and this I'm going to be using to flatten out the glue. Now since the X-Acto blade is smooth, the glue doesn't tend to stick to it as easily as it does to paper, so it's actually pretty cool to use to smooth out glue. Just don't make sure you're not using a lot of glue, as it will grab onto the blade. Here I'm just repeating the process of the other side, putting glue on it, sticking the piece on, just like this, and of course closing that little gap on the top with more glue. The process is pretty much the same as it was before. Add some glue and make sure that the hole is properly plugged. Nothing too complicated to do, and this one actually you can still see the hole, but that's because the glue is transparent. Now I'm just going to be grabbing this piece, and this is the final decorative piece, and this is going to be going on the bottom. Now, like always, you don't want to put glue everywhere, just enough for it to hold in place, and then you can put the rest of the glue out to adjust whatever mistake you may have done. You're going to be seeing here another mistake I made while building this piece. This is now going into place, like you can see right here, but you can see on the back that something is wrong. Yeah, there is a huge gap there. That's because the backside I cut it a little bit too big, so it's pushing against it, forcing it to go forward. I also didn't account that there was so much springiness that even when the glue was setting, I let go and it decided to come back up. Obviously I just held it down when I glued this front part. The process is the same on the back, just enough glue for it to set, hold it in place while the glue dries, and that is more than enough for that cap to completely disappear, as you are going to see right here. There we go. Now that is almost complete done, so I'm just going to be adding the final panel off screen. There we go. And with this done, all we have to do is attach the barrel and the trigger. Now the barrel just slides right in place. Since we made sure that everything was properly set, this piece just goes in place without any effort at all. There we go. The piece now slides into the front slot that we left for it earlier. And this is another mistake I made while making this piece. It's off screen, but you can see, but we'll see it right now. It looks perfectly fine until you look forward. Yeah, I accidentally angled the front part too much, so now I need to push it into place. That is something that wasn't completely fixed. Unfortunately, the final part of the gun actually remained completely crooked. Now, the trigger right here. This is something I almost did not put into the gun. It may not look like it on the video, but I have quite large ends, and you are going to be seeing on the a little bit ahead that once the trigger is in place, you can see right here, my hand almost does not fit inside the gun. Now I can fit my pinky finger inside the gun, but my hand has to be completely squished inside. But with that said, this is the final form of the gun. I really hope you enjoy this, and I will be doing this on the future, of course. But this model, like I said on the beginning of the video, is set to my $2 patrons only. It will remain as such for the time being, and of course, if you like other projects, do go to my Patreon. There are a bunch of other projects like this. So thank you for watching, and I really hope you enjoyed it.